All right. So, as you can see, this is about the language and its components. Okay. So earlier, what we have seen is that in the language, as a we can say the tool of communication, which we have seen in our day-to-day life, and also we have seen that the language as a as in curriculum in our schools. Okay. All right. So let's have a look the word language. I mean, what is language means. Okay, and what all components of languages, so that we can use that and use in our day-to-day life while communicating, or what showing emotion, or showing our desires, means we show our feelings through the language also. So if we don't know its components, like how the language can form, so we can't express ourselves to others, right? So let's have a look. So let's see the language. So what is language? Language is a form and means of communication, right? That's what we have discussed in the demo video. Okay, so language is just a form to communicate with others, right? And and also is it is related to human beings also, or or other animals also, but the way of communicating uh, f- to the animals is something different, right? I mean, animals or words like communicate with their own language, right? So there are there are what you can say specialized in that language. There are the specialists who can just show the animal behavior and write the, you can say, write the story about the animals. Okay, so he or she is just specialized in their languages. Okay, so and also it is related to human beings, yes. And is the universal characteristic of man alone. Okay, the language is the universal characteristic, right? So if we don't have any languages, we can't express anything. Even I want one glass of water, so I have to express, or I have to speak out, or I have to show the some symbols so that one can understand, like I need water, right? So this is the, yes, it is the universal characteristic of man alone. Okay, and all right, and it's a very important tool. Yes, it is, right? Which makes us to what what makes us to communicate, to share our feeling, and also it is the, sorry, it is the instrument which gives order and organization to his or her thinking, right? So language is an instrument, you can say, right? Which gives there is the standard of languages which we used uh, to think and to express our thought to others, right? All right, so let's see the components of the languages. So for components of the language, there is a phonology, right? So the word, you can see the phono is a what, the sound, right? And the logy is to study, right? So phonology is what, study of sound, right? And uh, and so if we define the phonology, so the study of the basic speech units and the accepted rules of pronunciation is known as phonology. Okay, right? And and the smallest units of sound is phonemes, right? For example, you can see here the word that contains three phonemes, right? The represent the phoneme, the a map to short sound, right? The, and the t to the basic sound t. The it, right? So the it, these are the phonemes which we used, right? Which we used, and these are the sounds, right? From which we can communicate, right? Now the second component is the morphology, right? So the word again, morpho means what? The formation, right? How we form the word, right? So the morphology is the study of word formation. So as in phonemes, we learn the sound, right? But how to express that sound? So for that, we need morphology, right? So that we can form the word and and we can form the sentences using the combination of the word, right? So so the morphology focuses on the internal structure of the words, right? It defines the internal structure of the word, any word, okay? And the smallest units of form morphology is, we can say that, for morpheme, right? So if we talk about hat, the small word hat, the dog, the love, as well as affix such as un, r, and the plural s or es, and the past tense ed. So these are the affixes, or you can say the dog, love, hat. These are the morphisms. These are the single word, right? It forms through the, what you can say, the phonemes, right? Through the you can say the sound, right? It forms hat, love, dog. When we put on or we put the s or es or ed, so the word formation changes. Like when we put the ed at the end of the word, it becomes past tense. When we put s or es, it becomes the plural, right? And like un or re, these are the affixes, right? So which comes before the word, right? So we can say the unknown, known and unknown. So the word formation changes, right? Reformed, formed and reformed, so it changes the formation, right? All right. So okay, so let's consider the example like the sip and dog. You can see, so each one of these is a single morpheme, right? Sip, dog, there's a single sound, you can see, right? But when we put them together, it becomes sip dog. So we can then say that the word consists of the two morphemes, right? Sip and dog, sip dog, sip dog, right? I mean, the two sound, right? The two words, the different sound, the two words, and the single word, right? All right. So the morphology means to know the what, I mean, to study the word formation, okay? And its knowledge in our languages, in our communication, is critical to vocabulary, okay? All right. So just a second. Okay. So as we have discussed already the morphology, the next component is the syntax, okay? So syntax is what? The study of how individual words comes together and form a syntax, right? Meaningful words, meaningful units, you can say, right? So this is what the, I mean, study of how individual words and their most basic meaningful units combine together to create a sentence, right? Syntax is the sentence, you can say, right? So if we talk about phonemes, we study what the sound, right? When we learn the sound, so how we can express into the words, so we need what? Morphemes, right? Morphology, which we say study of the words, right? So morphemes required. Now after morphism, after morphism, we understand how we can form the words, right? So if we say book, so no one will understand book, what I want to express, right? If we say I want a book, means someone can understand, like I need that book, right? I need one book, okay? So these word, the combination of the, you can say I need a book, these four you can say words coming together to form a meaningful units, meaningful language, you can say. So it becomes a sentence, right? And this is what known as the syntax, right? So as words are grouped together when we communicate, as I said, we must follow the rules of grammar, right? Grammar is very important. Grammar is the way to make a syntax correct, right? Grammar helps us to make a syntax correct, okay? So, and also makes us to recognize that the two sentences will contain different word order and level of complexity, okay? So let's say you can see that the boy hit the ball, the first sentence. And the second one is the ball was hit by the boy, right? So both these two sentences, you can see they have the different meaning, right? As you can see, the first one is the in active voice and the second one is the passive voice, so they are indifferent, right? So we can say that it also allows us to accept, let's say I went to the store, right? I went to a store is a grammatically sentence, right? Meaningful. While to store went I, is it the meaningful? No. Let's say I went for a party, so it is fine. I went for a party, or I went to the doctor, it is fine. But if we say doctor or went I, is it fine? No one will understand that, right? So it should be meaningful. So if it is meaningful, we combining the different words, and that should be meaningful also. That is very, very important, and that is only called known as the syntax, right? For example, if we combine different words like word, just so I hope you get this syntax. What is syntax? Okay, now moving on, next is semantics, right? So okay, so what we have learned is we learn the sound, how we can pronounce anything, right? We learn how to make a noise, right? Yes. Okay, so if we are making noise, like what are the words we are using in noise? So that is what the morphism, right? So you can say that morphism is what? The collection of the sound is known as morphism. So morpheme is a word, right? Now we learn the morphism. We learn the word formation. Now, how we, so when we combine different words with meaningful units, right? So that is known as what? Syntax, right? All right. So if we combine, you can say more than two or three syntaxes. So what does form, right? So we'll see that. Okay, so first understand what is semantics. So it refers that the way in which the language convey a meaning, right? So English language has a certain word order we have to follow also, right? If we want to create a useful language, right, so we need to talk about the, you can say, the order also. We need to follow the order sequence also, right? So in grammar we know that subject verb agreement, right? We follow that, right? So if the verb will come first and subject will go up to that, so is it become meaningful? No, it won't become meaningful, right? So semantic is only the way, right? Semantic means the way how we can communicate to others with the meaningful sentences, right? And there is a fixed order to make syntax, right? So that way, you can say, known as semantics, right? So let's say I eat breakfast, right? It is fine. I mean, one will understand that you will eat breakfast, right? This sentence is grammatically correct, but the words are presented in the right order because the words are sorry, because the words are presented in the right order, right? Because first you can see I as a subject, eat as a verb, and breakfast as an agreement or the object. Now, so now the second components of, I mean, the, I think it's fourth, right? So this is the fourth component of the, you can say, language, pragmatics, right? So pragmatics, what does the pragmatics means, right? So as it is written, it has to do with the language use and not language structure, right? So it doesn't follow the structure, but it uses in our day-to-day life, right? So let's say sit down, take your pen. Is there any like structure, language structure? But a language like we used, right? Good morning. Is that having the structure? No, it's a many, right? Say bye. So is that having a structure? Any language structure? No. I mean, the language or the sentence, you can see, that won't be the sentence. That's a word only, which we use in our day-to-day life in communication, right? As a language, right? That is known as pragmatics, right? So I hope you're clear with the pragmatics, right? So as in the example given, one might say that pass the salt to a close or familiar person, or will you please pass the salt? Someone say that will you please pass the salt, or someone say pass the salt, right? So that's a different situation. It depends on the situation only when we have to use the pass the salt, or when we use to will you please pass the salt, right now. So what we have done so far is we have done what is language, right? Language is a means of communication, you can say. Language is a tools to express our gestures, right? And their components, like what the first one is the phonology, where phonemes are used, when the sounds are used, right? So in phonemes we learn the sound. Now the second one is the morphology, where we learn how to make the words. Now the third one is the syntax, where we learn what making the sentences. And now in the fourth one, where we have done is semantics. Semantics is what, like we are making the formation of sentences, but it needs to be what, meaningful, right? Now the fifth one which we have done is pragmatics, right? So pragmatics, in pragmatics, the word which are used as a pragmatist have no structured language. I mean, has no, or you can say, as a syntax, right? We just use in our day-to-day life, right? As a language, right? As a means of communication, right? So they, we have done the five components till now, okay, and that is all, right? So I'm just concluding this, okay. Thank you so much. Just keep watching my channel, and I hope you have enjoyed this, okay. Thank you.